Welcome to Seasoned Conversations, where experience meets insight and life's journey reveals its deepest wisdom. I'm your host, Kenneth Braswell, and here we share authentic stories of reinvention, purpose, and fulfillment from the seasoned paths we walk. Together, we'll explore how to age boldly, live intentionally, and embrace our second act with clarity and confidence. So pull up a chair. There's always room at the table for seasoned conversations. Welcome to Seasoned Conversations. I'm your host, Kenneth Braswell, and we are having so much fun with these conversations, and I'm having so much fun with my guests because my guests are so random. Right. And which is what I love about this conversation. And I've often told people, even when I've done as I'm doing I Am Dad podcast, that I don't do presentations. I do conversations. And if you can't have an organic conversation with me, then I don't need you on my podcast. And so because I'm not going to ask you things that I don't believe you can't answer. But the thing that I love about seasoned conversations and the organicness of these conversations is that they start in conversations about life, and randomly when you're talking to someone and something comes up, like what happened with me and Miss Juanita Goss, and I'm going to introduce you to her. I met her when I first came to Atlanta, and she reached out to me, and I remember coming to I remember coming to a event that you had though, downtown Atlanta.
After you moved.
Yeah. And we have just stayed connected the whole time. Our hearts are in the space around family, specifically around fatherhood and other elements of life. But over time, I've learned that we have similar interests, similar backgrounds, and old school is buried in us. Right?
Yes.
And so you're not born and raised in Atlanta, are you?
No, I was born in Charleston. I'm a Geechee girl.
Okay.
Born in Charleston, South Carolina. Raised in New York from the age of 3.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got our undergraduate, headed straight south. Didn't want no more New York.
So
not new, on a day-to-day basis. You know?
So South Carolina is rice country, right?
Oh yeah. Rice.
That's
country,
what
man.
South Carolina
That's
is
right.
rice, straight rice.
Geechees.
Yeah.
You know? and I used to, when people earlier in my life, I'm talking about 30s, so I used to have an attitude about people calling Charleston people Geechees, right? Until the South Sea Island Singers came to my church and they said Geechee is the term used for Africans learning English, the language that came out of that.
Wow.
And ever since then, I've been so proud. I'm a Geechee, you know.
The first time I heard that word was in Uptown Saturday Night.
Okay, yes.
I was almost about to say let's do it again, but it wasn't let's do it again. It was Uptown Saturday Night.
And there was a character named
Harry
Geechee.
Belafonte's name was Geechee Dan.
That's right.
And I used to be like, what is Geechee?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I first heard that term.
Yeah.
And so because I'm a movie buff, everybody who knows me, I associate everything in my life with a movie. Unfortunately, it tends to be mob movies most of the time.
Love it. That's one thing we share.
Yeah. But there's other movies as well. But I associate my life with movies. But we were having a conversation, you and I, the other day, and the subject matter of retirement came up. And I was like, wow, it seems like in my season space, that word has emerged more and more and more. But there's some realities about retirement that people have not wrapped themselves around. And then there is a concept of what retirement used to be that it is no more. Things are changing. But what struck me in our conversation when you were talking is something that I want to eventually get to before we end, is the uncertainty and the unsettlement about how we are going to maintain and survive when we move into our more seasoned ages and not able to do the same things physically we could do when we were 20 years old, and our options begin to shrink. Yeah. Now, you have quote unquote retired.
Right. Right. Quote unquote. Quote unquote. Right.
What does retirement mean to you?
Okay, so and you are referring to the many times that I have retired, and retirement kind of came up on me. It was like, okay, earlier I was mad when they raised the Social Security age, you know, because it was like 65, you done, you got your money and all that stuff. So I'm working and I'm 65 and I know I got to wait till I'm 66 and all that, and enjoying myself at Bethany, you know, the grant, you know, as you know, that I was doing, I loved. And then as a matter of fact, when we went for another grant and you called me the night of the decision and you saw Bethany on the list, but it was Bethany headquarters.
Yes.
And I think you had gotten a grant. So it was like, okay, I closed out the grant, had a great celebration, September 27th, September 30th, I'm waiting, you know, for the word. And not feeling so hopeful about it. Didn't know if I really cared, you know, so much, because I said, if I do this grant, I probably won't stay till the end. So you called me, and that next day I'm up and I'm like, you ain't got no job. You know, you don't have no job. You're 65. You don't have to go to work no more. And I laughed. I really laughed, because I was realizing, okay, you know what? I got my savings. I got unemployment because they ended my job, you know, and pretty soon I can apply for my Social Security. So that's what I did. I kind of, so we're talking October, had a great leisurely time over Christmas, everything, you know, and then went to the, well, you know, you got to apply for Medicare. Got to make sure you do that or you're penalized. Went to Social Security office, said, oh, you know, you could get your check a couple of months early. It's only gonna be you know, $3 different. I said, give me my money.
Right.
Okay? But it was strange to deal with that I didn't have to be anywhere. So I went between loving that to, I don't have to be anywhere. Wait a minute, what's going on? I don't have to be anywhere. And then, you know, some days are better than others. I never felt like I got to work, I got to go back to work. I didn't feel like that. But I did feel like days were going by, and other people say this in retirement. Days go by, and the afternoon gets here, and you say, what did I do?
Wow.
I done nothing. Done nothing. You know, and you kind of don't feel bad about it. Now, it bothers some people more than others. It didn't bother me that much. But I guess the continuous or successive asking to come back, and, you know, kind of kept me in the groove. It kept me in the groove. But it's something that I would say to younger people, really plan for this.
Yeah.
Really plan for it. You know, I don't go begging, but, you know, there are situations where, you know, you figure, okay, I only got this income. So if you do go back to work, and that's the main thing I learned, if you do go back to work, put that money away like you never had it. Just live on whatever your retirement, your Social Security, whatever you were living on before you went back to work, just put that money aside.
Right. And
on the last run, when I went back for a grant at Bethany, that's what I did. And thank God I did. Thank God I did. Now, circumstances happened since then that affect that. But if you do that all along and you plan for this, then you won't have any hard spots, right, I think, in it.
Yeah, because it is about putting the effort in on the front end. I've talked about recently my dental journey, right? And my dentist said to me, he goes, Kenny, I'm gonna tell you something. She goes, I'm not chastising you, and I don't want you to belabor what I'm going to say. She says, but I'm telling you this just to kind of put what you're going through right now in perspective. She says, and that's it. Like, don't give it no long thought. Don't labor in it. I'm just telling this to you for perspective. And I said, okay, like, what you got for me? And she said, you know, it only takes 7 minutes a day to take care of your teeth. And I said, what? She says, it only takes 7 minutes a day to take care of your teeth. 3.5 in the morning, 3.5 at night. And you're in this chair having to have total reconstruction of your mouth because you didn't give yourself 7 minutes a day to take care of something that was critically important because you didn't think it was important when you was young. And you can eat and chew whatever you wanted to eat and chew. And it kind of like lends to what you just said. Like, I remember back in the day, you know, working for state government and them coming up and talking about things like, you know, mutual fund investment, retirement, like they wanted to take another $25 out my check. Right. I'm like, what? Right. Give me my money. I ain't, right. I ain't doing none of that stuff. Right. You know, and the other crazy thing, you contribute to a 401k, life gets tricky and you need that little bit of money and you go in there and you pull your couple of thousands out and that money is gone like in like 15 minutes. And now you're looking back and it's like, if I would have just continued to do that, I would have been fine. But the one that also gets me, if you remember back in the day when we were in school, one of the things that they used to do in school as an exercise is they would make you open up a checking account. A savings account. And you would get the little book, and on Friday you had to bring in a quarter. Okay. And everybody and the banker would come to the classroom and they would have a stamp and you would give them the quarter and they would stamp your book and you would kind of watch your money accumulate. And they'd be like, at the end of the year, it's like, whoopie-doo, I got like $13, right? But when you start hearing the stories about, so what does it take to become a millionaire from 0 to 18? Save $25 a week.
I heard that when that came out, and I'm like, OMG.
Right. And so when you began to start thinking about your retirement, did you have any fears about what it was going to turn out to be, or did you just lock down and said, I got to do what I got to do?
I really didn't have any fears. I had some great anticipation because I think my thinking was limited.
Okay.
You know, I knew what I was going to get in retirement and all that. No, hey, I can deal with that, you know, with no sweat and whatever, and take me a trip now and then if I plan this and plan that. But I think I should have been more scared. I think I should have been more scared. Not only for like the things that are happening now, you know, because that same amount of money that was fine and had done me well, you know, ain't done so well now. Right. You know, ain't done so well. So I never had any fears about not having anything to do, you know, because I was never a person that got bored being alone or doing any activities. Always have a lot of activities to do. So I can't say that there was any fear, but I can say, in the if I coulda, shoulda, woulda, that looking back, maybe I should have been more concerned. Yeah. I should have been more concerned.
Because retirement looks like, when I was growing up, retirement, I remember when my mother retired from Citibank. And at the end of her retirement, they had the ceremony. And she got, it wasn't a gold watch. Okay. It was something like that. It was a little box and something was in it. Right. With a letter thanking you for your service. And then that was kind of it. And then everybody cut up the cake and they ate the cake and then you went off into the sunset. Right. But what I remember about retirement in the South for my aunts and uncles who lived in more industry kind of related factory jobs was that not only did they work for 30, 40, whatever many years, they got that retirement on top of their Social Security.
Yes.
And it was enough to maintain, because there were other things that happened in the meantime, in between time, that people don't take into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
One of those things is that they got married early.
Right.
Right?
Right.
The second thing is that they immediately purchased a house and land.
Mm-hmm. Yep. In the South, that's the way it was.
The third thing is they got insurance.
Amen.
And not life insurance. They got burial insurance.
That's right. Uh-huh. Right.
The fourth thing is that they opened up a savings account.
Yes.
And if they were a little more advanced, they possibly purchased bonds. Remember back in the day, you got bonds?
I know. I had one. And like I said, is this thing ever going to grow? And you check on it, you got a $25 bond, and they give it to you for your birthday. And you're like, okay, your bond is worth $25.15.
Right. But if you had one of those today, it'd be a different conversation.
Right.
So the things that kind of happen in the meantime, in between time, when you talk about planning, is the purchasing of the house juxtaposed to the time to which they would ultimately retire means that by the time I retire, my house will be paid in full.
That's right. 30 years or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My children, because of my savings accounts,
Mm-hmm.
would have all gone through college without one loan.
Yep.
So not only will we not have any debt, but they won't have any debt. Mm. And when they went to college, they were immediately encouraged, before they got married, to purchase a house.
Yes.
That's a Southern thing.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
In the North, get your high school diploma, find you a job, and you don't even think about a car, because a car is useless in New York City.
Exactly.
So it's get an apartment. And you live in an apartment for the rest of your life. You never think about purchasing a home, which is why when my mother used to send me to North Carolina, I could never understand, like, how does my cousins have a car at like 15 years old?
Yeah.
The car's a necessity. They got to get from place to place to place, because I ain't got time to drive you all the way to the Piggly Wiggly for $2.35 an hour.
Yes.
That's not happening.
Right.
And so today's retirement doesn't look like that.
It doesn't.
What should people be thinking, and where should they even be learning about? Let's talk about our children. Because we're in this work around family developing and this is a conversation that I don't think we have with our parents up front. No, we're still struggling with getting them to be co-parents, right?
Right. And then they didn't have the financial know-how and skills, the sophistication, I'll call it.
Okay.
Yeah. You
know. But where should that learning take place if over the generations we're not having that conversation?
As early as possible. It needs to be in Head Start. It needs to be in Montessori. It needs to be creating a financial security mindset from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
When your child, and people have done this for a long time. You do a little work and they give you a quarter, whatever. But we've got to change that into a lesson.
Mm.
Like, okay, I'm going to give you, if you ever got allowance, I didn't get allowance.
Me either.
Yeah, I didn't get allowance. And I'd be mad when I heard people say, oh, well, my allowance. I'm like, I'm getting an allowance. But if you're going to do that, which is a good way, allowance is a good way to teach children to find, to handle money. Save some, spend some, give some.
Mm-hmm.
Tithing you could teach at that time and everything. Mm-hmm. But it's got to happen as soon as a child has knowledge about financial exchange.
Mm-hmm.
When they see you paying for something or writing a check or whatever, they need to be brought into that experience.
Right.
But it needs to be made real through their own day-to-day experience. Okay, you want back in my day, 5-cent bar of candy. Then at that 25 cents, you take that 5-cent bar of candy. Then you save 10 cents. It has to be just as just as basic as that.
Basic
you
as
know?
that.
And then as they get older, at a time, and they don't have to be very old. I'm talking about elementary school, and you put that kind of number in front of them that if they save $1 a week, a month, or whatever, where they will be at 30.
Right.
That's going to be the only impact that they can see. You see what I mean? And that's something they can relate to. So we need more discussions, and we need more action about financial literacy and financial planning for these. And then I don't think they're ever too young to get a lesson that's age appropriate as far as money goes.
Yeah, but the other piece of it too is they have to have the discipline not to touch it when things get a little tight.
Right. Exactly. Like we all do, and we've made the mistake of doing, But I mean, we were thankful it was there.
Right. Yeah.
Because I mean, even though like that last round of of grants that I was involved with when it ended in 2022, I was doing pretty good. I was good. I was set and all that. So when things happened, I thank God, that I had it, and I still had stuff to pay my bills, but I was able to meet the need at that time.
Right. Yeah. The other thing that happens when you get around retirement space, because the number is shifting now too, right? Because it used to be 65. I think it's shifting a little
67
bit now.
something.
67,
I think they raised it again, Tracy said,
right,
the other day.
So they keep moving and shifting the number around. And then there's all these stipulations that if you retire too soon, you don't get as much.
You don't get as much.
Yeah, you don't.
You're really hurting yourself.
Right. And so you got to like kind of wait it out.
Yeah.
Problem with it is that many people are working some extra years in a job that they just can't stand.
And another thing about it is you're really betting that you're going to be here. Okay? So you're going to be here to get that money.
Right.
Because I know some that have passed.
Right.
And I'm asking, okay, what are y'all doing with all this money to people that you never had to pay because they passed?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But another thing that you mentioned earlier too, about our feelings about retirement and how people usually had the company retirement and their Social Security. That's no longer true when so many companies are cutting retirement.
Yeah.
For instance, when I first went to Bethany in 2011, I'm saying, okay, I'm going to do 5 years. And hey, I got this, right? Because I didn't stay at Lockheed long enough to get it. I didn't stay United Way long enough to get it. And then being in community program, which is grant-based and temporary, no retirement was really built up.
Right.
And so I'm in there and I say, okay, hey, 5 years I'll be vested, blah, blah, blah. Oh, what happens? Get an email. If you weren't here from 2009 and before, you ain't got no retirement.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And so those are the kinds of things that people in my generation are facing is the cut of those retirements is just taken for granted. They were going to be there.
I don't even think people ask that question anymore when they go for a job interview. What's your retirement plan?
Yeah.
Like, they don't ask those questions. I think the primary question is how much am I making?
Yeah.
The other thing that's happening is like the generational differences these days, where particularly the Gen Zers and these Alpha Gens, they're not staying places long if they're not feeling it.
They're not.
So they're saying, I'm not trying to be here. I'm not thinking about the gold watch at the end. I'm thinking about right now.
Right.
And I don't like this job. And their resume looks like a ping pong ball. Right.
Yeah. Right. And they're not punished for it because things have changed. I mean, it doesn't look bad anymore.
Right.
Right. It's like I'm continuing to improve myself, and companies are trying to step up to, okay, what do I need to attract this generation of people and keep them here?
Right.
But it doesn't look as bad as it used to look on our resume.
Absolutely. And those things were important, right? That's why people got civil servant jobs, right?
Yes.
They got civil servant jobs because they really believed that was the most stable job that you can have because government money never runs out.
Well, yeah, right.
Yeah, well,
hope not now. Yeah.
Well, back in the day, it did not run out.
Oh, yeah, it did not run out. And you know what? And I feel that those that I know that did that, oh, they're good.
Yeah, they're good.
They're good. Like, I had a state job when I first came to Atlanta. First job I had, state of Georgia, drug abuse enforcement drug abuse treatment. Sorry, and it was the most non-productive activity I've ever had. I mean, I would be tired at the end of the day from not doing work. Okay, so I couldn't stay there.
Right,
you know what I
right.
mean? I could. I'm like, I'm not doing any work. Ain't nobody checking on me.
Right.
And it's just there is waste. There is waste.
Absolutely.
In government, whatever. But you got to be of a certain mind, I guess. You got to be. I think there are people who, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. I'm fine. And then there are those of us who are. Okay.
Ain't never gonna happen.
Can't do that. Can't do that.
Right.
It's got to be. I got to be productive. I got to see impact. I've got to see value in what I do. I've got to keep it moving, and I've got to help somebody along the way.
Right.
And one thing that I've noticed, Kenneth, with there are people. There's work of the heart and there's work of the hand. The people who are more satisfied with, I'm retired, that's it, I'm here day to day, in my view, my observation, are the people who work by hand. Post office workers, General Motors, those kinds of people. You don't see them coming back for nothing. They don't want to do nothing.
Absolutely.
They don't want to do nothing.
Right.
I mean, when they have retired from that job, which I say was work of the hand, they're like, I'm done.
Right.
I'm done. But for work of the heart, it seems like we can never let it go.
Right.
We're going to be doing something. Something in it.
And I think that kind of, as we kind of round this out, my issue now with the Season Collective is to really begin to help people kind of understand their what now or their why.
Yes.
Like, because there's got to be a place, as I'm getting there, I don't have to ask myself the question. I know I'm very clear about my why. But I know that there's a lot of people that aren't clear at all about their why. And when that vocation ends, they're sitting there and they're like, is this what it was about?
Yeah. Is this all there is?
Right.
Okay.
And that could be a lonely space.
Yes.
It's one thing to not do nothing because you don't want to do nothing.
Right. Yeah.
But it's another thing to do nothing because you don't know what to do.
Yes. Very good distinction.
And the answer ain't easily gotten because you have never really truly understood what your passion was. You thought your passion was going to work. And that wasn't your passion. That was your responsibility.
Thank you. Thank you. Exactly. That was your responsibility.
Right.
Yeah.
And until you tap into, like, I remember, I tell the story all the time about my youngest daughter when she left Kennesaw. And she was going to Kennesaw because she wanted to be a sports doctor. And she called me like, Dad, can you come and pick me up from school? And I'm like, all right. So I get up there and she gets in the car and she always hits me with, can I talk to you about something? And I'm like, oh, Lord. I'm like, what is this going to be? And she says, I don't think I'm going back. And I was like, what? She was like, I don't think I'm going back. And I said, why? And she said, all my friends know their purpose and I don't know mine.
Wow.
But I think my purpose is something else. And she's actually in it now, which is what fills my heart, which is at least she had the discernment to understand what she was looking for. To your point, she was going to school for this thing that was about her hand and her heart was telling her something else. Yeah. And so my thing to her was, relax a little bit. I think at the time she might have been 19. Like, let me tell you where I was at 19. It damn sure wasn't thinking about my purpose. My purpose was something that ain't had nothing to do. It had nothing to do with like real purpose. It was just the purpose for my day to day.
Right.
Like, I got a purpose today. I gotta holler at this girl real quick. That was my purpose. I was like, so relax. You don't really gotta know like that level of your purpose.
Yeah, that was
but
very
I can
mature.
help you understand how to find it. But she had already found it. She just didn't know what it
She
was.
didn't know it. But just the awareness that she hadn't found it
Right.
is the biggest step.
Right.
Because some children, never, and young adults, they never even ask the question.
Right, right.
So,
Because they say there's a saying that says something, and I'm paraphrasing it, something like, um, if you do what you love, you're never working.
That's right. You'll never work a day in your life.
Right.
And that's what I tell all young people: find your passion, so that you get paid at your passion.
Right.
You like to play games all day. Learn how to develop games.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So this space, I'm hoping that just the conversation in itself gets people to thinking. I know that there's folks in the season space that are approaching that space, and given how society looks today, there is some anxiety.
Yeah. Because
we really don't know, what's going to happen if the bottom drops out.
Yeah.
And there is levels of desperation that you get to where it's kind of like, I told somebody the other day, it's like one of my motivators as I began to see more and more of these things happen. Please don't bury me on GoFundMe funds.
I know that.
It ain't ever gonna happen. Right. I've already taken care of that. It's not gonna.
Yeah, but it's a real thing for some people. A lot of people.
Yeah, and I get it. Everybody doesn't have the resources. I'm not downing how people get their loved ones buried.
Yeah.
But it does show a level of not planning for the inevitable. Yeah, something like that.
The inevitable, right?
But Tracy said something interesting the other day about our church, Discover Life Church. And she said, one of the elders said it. And then she said, when he said it, she was like, wow. She goes, I never thought about that. And he said that since they had been going to DLC, and this is back because we started going to DLC literally when we first came to Atlanta. So it's been less than 10 years, probably going on 10.
Mm-hmm.
And his statement was, we've never had a funeral.
Really?
And I was like, I had to think about it. And I said, Trace, I said, for some odd reason, I vaguely remember one when we were at the old building, but he could be correct.
Mm-hmm.
I said, but you have to ask yourself the question, what is special about our church to which that has not occurred?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, it is one of the things that our church is young.
Yeah.
It's millennial.
Mm-hmm.
It's professional.
Yeah.
And when I'm the old dude in the club and there's no peer circle for me in the church, which is why I don't go, because I can find a spiritual connection, but I can't find a worldly connection. Okay. And my worldly connection is attached to my spiritual connection. I can't separate the two of them. Mm-hmm. But I said, and the other thing, which is ironic, is that the other way that churches see a lot of funerals is in tragedy. And a lot of times those tragedy is with their kids. Yes. And we don't have that kind of thing circling through our church. Yeah. I said, so that when we are unprepared for dealing with that moment with our elderly, more seasoned, we certainly ain't ready for our children.
Definitely not.
To go anywhere. But that's why back in the day, the primary insurance
what was that, number 3?
Was burial insurance.
That's right. That was number 3. Right?
You ain't gonna leave here and break us.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, really. And that's that whole idea. It seems like younger generations don't even want to think about it. Right. They don't want to plan. They don't want to plan at all. It's like, I'm gonna be here. And that's such a, no, you got to leave out here, okay? So, and that's the only way out of this life. You got to go.
Yeah.
And I that is a major change I see, is that the lack of importance of insurance.
Right.
Or they feel like, I already got it on my job. Yeah, but you may not stay at that job.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You got to have something outside that you had before you went to any job.
Right.
Really.
Yeah. And I don't know if I've ever told you my story about what made me ultimately get serious insurance. I've always had just
a little something.
$10 a month.
Yeah, right.
everybody in my house gets $500.
Yeah. Like I told my mama, it ain't gonna make me happy to get $2,000 when you leave here. Yeah.
And I ain't plotting and none of that other stuff
Right.
so I can get $2,000.
Right.
But when I got serious and got serious insurance was when I first came to Atlanta and I purchased my first car, my Kia.
Mm-hmm.
And I was coming home from the airport one night, coming up 285, coming home. And there was a construction sign that was sitting on the side, and the tractor trailer went by it, and the thing flew up in the air. Right in front of me. I saw it when the truck passes, the wind drift just lifts it up.
Yeah.
It went by and lifted it up. It lifted it up in the air. I didn't swerve. I kept going straight, and the thing hit the ground. Right, it hit the ground, and I heard this like screeching, and so I stopped and got out the car, and the sign was stuck up underneath the car.
When that happened.
Remember? And so I pulled it off to the side, but the actual sign piece of it had actually broken off.
Right, and it was sticking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, I was like, all right. I was like, and you know how 285 is. It's like, it's more dangerous to be sitting on the side of 285 than to be on it. I was like, you know what? Let me get the hell from around this little corner right here for somebody to come flying around here and run into me. So I get back in the car and I drive all the way home. And I get home and I come in the house. I never tell Tracy what happens. I never talked. I didn't tell her anything.
Yeah.
In the morning, I tell her, I said, I'm going to, I tell her what happened in the morning. Mm-hmm. And then I said, I got to go downstairs. I see, because I drove it. I said, I got to see what it did to the car. And so I get downstairs and I walk in because I remember taking pictures of it. And I got to find those pictures. And I could see the sign, that little grader. You know how that square, those sign is sticking out the front side of the car. Mm-hmm. So I was like, a piece of the metal got stuck in the car. I called Kia, told them what happened. I said, I hit the sign, came up in the car. They was like, we got to do a DOT because they're going to let DOT know and blah, blah, blah. But bring the car in so we can check and see what it was. Okay. So I bring the car to Kia. I go inside, sit down because it's running. Nothing's wrong with the car.
Yeah,
it's running.
You drove it on, yeah.
And a guy goes, Mr. Braswell, come out. I want to show you something. And I said, what? He says, I saw this. And he says, something told me. He says, I just needed to show you this. And he has the hood open and he brings me around. He says, look at this right here. And he says, look at where the pole stopped. And there's a metal plate that sits in the front of your car to keep things from coming through your car. Mm-hmm. The pole was up against that metal thing. And he said, do you realize what that did? And I said, what? He says that metal plate actually stopped that from coming straight through the car. He says it would have, if that wasn't there, it literally would have came straight through the car and straight through you. That was the trajectory of where it was going. Mm. And when he said that, I just kept looking at it, and literally the way it was angled, it would have coming to go straight through. And I remember coming home and telling Tracy that, and I was like, we need to get insurance. I said, because that was too random, too scary, because my mind immediately went into what would happen with all of them if that was to occur.
If that was the day, right? Yeah.
And being from New York, I ain't trust no other insurance company. I call New York Life. I'm like, I don't care we're in Atlanta. I need New York up in here.
They got a lot of folks, customers down here, believe me.
I need y'all up in here. And when that brother came in there, he was like, well, we could do this. I'm like, what? I said, no, I want this one. I want that one. He's like, do you don't have to? I was like, no, I want this one. I want that one. He's like, I said, what else you got? Like, what else can I insure? Right, yeah. And he went down this and he literally said, well, he says, you can insure 6 months of your salary. Mm-hmm. You can insure 6 months of your organization's revenue. You can insure like all these things. And I was like, so how much is that? And he said, I'm like, I want that.
You can insure that your house paid off when you died?
Give me all of it. Yeah, right. I said, because when I leave here, I don't want my family worrying about anything.
Exactly.
And I don't want my kid. I said I don't want my kids getting rich because I don't want them plotting on me either. But I want to give them something to which if they decide I want to go put a down payment on a house,
Right,
I want to
whatever.
put my grandkids through college based on this. They have at least enough to do
Yeah,
that. They're not
right.
gonna like live large on it.
Yeah.
Plus they gotta pay taxes too. So they
Yeah,
don't
right.
know that, but they do. I said, and then I'm good. And I've been that's the it's if nothing else in my space gets paid consistently and
Yeah.
on time,
That's the
that thing
security.
gets done. But it's crazy because I had gone my mother when my mother moved from New York and I have it now. It's in the house. I don't even know if the thing's still valid or not. I found the burial insurance card for me and my mother.
For you and your mother?
Because it and had no siblings, just in her and I at the time.
Right. Oh my goodness.
The premium was a nickel. I have it. It's in the house. It's in my
And
Bible.
they come around your house to collect it too. Remember that?
Yeah,
Insurance man here.
And if you
Go
from
in
the
that little
south,
purse.
like if you don't know the sound of someone knocking on your screen door, you ain't Southern.
You ain't, babe.
It's a different knocking on a regular door and a glass
is.
door than somebody knocking on your screen door. Because it's like a knock and then a knock. It's like you hit the door and then the door hits the door.
Yeah, right.
And then you hear a little squeak from the spring in between there.
Yeah.
And it's never usually a one knock. It's like,
right.
And so I got all that stuff done when I got here. So I'm, like I tell you about my teeth journey, I'll tell you about this journey as well. All of this stuff is part of what we need to be thinking about in this season space.
Yes.
I do want to spend some more time. I wanted to talk to you about this, but I'm going to have to bring you back to talk about this because I also think it's important. And that is, how do you really understand what your purpose in life is? Because I think there are people who think that retirement is synonymous with the end of my life. And doesn't have to be that.
Yeah.
It's the beginning of another stage of your life that should be carefree.
Right.
Because you have taken care of all of your responsibilities.
Exactly.
And now, which is why grandkids get spoiled.
Exactly.
Right?
The joy.
They ain't my responsibility. They ain't yours. So I can spoil the hell out of them and they go home with you.
Send them home.
Right. It's the circle and cycle of life. And this societal environment right now where things just really got people unsure.
Yeah.
What's going to happen with them? What's going to be there for them when they really haven't planned for this? And because I think that in this space, don't let this go. Because one of the other things, and I said this the other day, I don't know if I wrote it anywhere, but I thought about this. And I was saying it was after I was talking to Patrick about it. Patrick Patterson, who lost his mom some weeks ago. And I said to him, one of the things that we are not taking into consideration as we move into this season space and we're losing our own loved ones, that our loved ones are losing loved ones.
Yes.
Like we don't take that into consideration.
We don't. But I want to point out the connection you just made, though, between finding your passion that would not cause you to feel like I don't have a life anymore when you've retired from something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you will never hear a person who follow their passion face that or have that feeling.
Right.
You won't. You won't. And I remember when I realized what my passion really was, I even decided to go back, get a PhD in African American Studies to be a professor. Because you'd be a professor till you just fall out, right? And then I realized, no, the passion was really genealogy. That's what it is. You don't have to teach anybody. So, but if you know that, and then you follow the career that feeds that,
right,
then you'll never feel like this thing is end, and now I need to be a different person,
Mm-hmm.
because that's going to be in you. So you've just stated the most important reason to determine what your passion is,
Right.
as early as possible.
Absolutely.
And I think a way, and I know we'll talk about it some other time, is a way, the way to find that is to just see what makes you have joy. And I should have realized what made me have joy is hearing old stories or being in a spot where a historical thing happened. That excited me.
Yeah.
So I should have known that,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
But in the times when I came up and the opportunities that I had that not many other Harlem little kids had, okay?
Right.
There was an obligation to give back. Therefore, that's why I was in community stuff.
Right. Yeah. And and again, you can misunderstand what your passion is, and because some people, misunderstand that their responsibility is their passion.
Yes.
Just because you like your job and you might necessarily like it, don't make it your passion.
And you could be good at a lot of things, but that don't mean that you should be in it.
Right.
Absolutely.
So as you can see, and you also mentioned something else that we got to come back and talk about, because that's a whole nother thing.
What?
Genealogy.
Oh, yes.
Like knowing your family roots. I don't even want to start that because you and I'll be here for another half an hour. But I'm going to keep some notes on and I'm going to send them to you, and we're going to come back and talk about genealogy.
Okay.
Because connecting the genealogy piece to the retirement piece, just to make a connector for you. Mm-hmm. One of the things when we lose loved ones, we lose historical narrative.
Yes.
And that don't cost you nothing to get, but conversations. It's one of the things that now that I do the work that I do, I wish many of my elders, I would have had my camera in front of them and talking to them, so that I didn't have my stepfather who passed away. I wanted to write his book. It was one of the things that I always wanted to do. I wanted to write his book. Mm-hmm. And I never got the chance to go up and interview him to write his book. It was one of those things that I just believe that man's story had to be told. Mm-hmm. And I never got a chance. I could probably backtrack it.
You'd have to get a lot of connections and stories from other people. Yeah.
But you have to hear
it. Ain't like hearing
it from him, because he had a different kind of flair. He had a different, like, if I could have got that man's story, it would have been incredible.
Wow.
But some of the passion in life is the pride that you have in knowing where you came from.
Yes, exactly.
And if you don't know that, it's the perfect time to start exploring.
Right.
If you don't explore nothing else, explore you.
Explore you. Now you might come into some facts that you didn't want to know. That might upset the family. Oops.
Yep. But you're going to hear that at the family reunion anyway. Right. Somebody going to tell you something you ain't should. Oh, you ain't know how so-and-so died? Oh, my goodness. In my life, I've been.
Daddy.
Yeah. I've been hit a couple of times with those. Right. Going back down south, you in the yard, y'all talking, everybody laughing. You know what Frank Braswell did? Your ear's like, wait a minute, that's my grandfather. What he do? Oh, then I'd call my mother and be like, Ma, is this true? Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
And then they tell you some other stuff.
Right.
And so, but listen, thank you. This was incredible. I can't wait to come back and talk about some more stuff. This podcast is actually I was watching the other day. Kevin Hart has a new reality show coming out called Muscle Cars or something like that, where he's bringing his friends in, and I think they're refurbishing muscle cars. Mm-hmm. And someone said something to him, and I think they asked him, why is he doing this? Or why is he doing this? Because, Kevin Hart has done all kinds. He does the tub thing. Everything. He does, which is one of my favorite things, which is Husband of Hollywood. He did that. He does these little things, and he has the red cup on the Red Cup Club Boys with his friends on on Sirius XM. Mm-hmm. And he said, I love being with my friends. Mm-hmm. And when he said that, I was like, out of all that he does, that passion of his
Yeah.
is, I cannot experience this without my friends experiencing it with me,
Mm-hmm.
which is why you all. And I was like, that is a special
That
thing.
is.
That's what this podcast is going to be. I can already see it. That what you're going to see is a parade of my friends having these conversations, because the depth of wealth and passion and purpose and all of those things are in so many of my close circle friends, that I trust them to have conversations that will edify anybody listening to them, whether or not you happen to be on the 50 plus or the 50 or the 49 less side.
Yes.
And the ear hustling 30-year-old ones that really don't know yet, but they just need to be listening and have their ear in there. Come on in, you know, stick your head in, ask some questions. If you got some questions that your auntie ain't answer, we'll answer them for you. And so just stick your head in here. But thank you again, Miss Juanita, for joining us on Seasoned Conversations. Thank you all. Make sure you're following us on all of our platforms, theseasoncollective.com. Join the Facebook group, because that's where this conversation is intimately happening, in our Facebook group, our Facebook page, our LinkedIn page, where we're going to be having seasoned conversations, but those conversations are going to be around business and profession. And so we're going to be talking about those kinds of things. Our blog, our website. I'm just creating an entire community around the Seasoned Collective. And then I'll be talking a little more about the book and the workbook, Too Seasoned to Care, which is in my hands. It hasn't been released yet. It won't be released until August sometime, but stay tuned to know where you can get your copy of Too Seasoned to Care. Until then, take care. God bless you. And there's absolutely nothing that you can do about how much I love you. Take care.
All right.
Thank you for joining me for today's Seasoned Conversation. Remember, every step we take shapes the legacy we leave. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone else navigating their own seasoned journey. To learn more and to become part of our growing community, visit us at theseasoncollective.com. Until next time, stay seasoned, stay purposeful, and remember, it's never too late to care deeply, to live boldly, and to rewrite your story.